Right, yeah. Okay, so this is like a really short talk that I'm going to do today, and I've only got about 10 minutes with you, so I'm going to get through this whole about me thing as quick as possible because no one really cares too much who I am, I'm sure. So I'm David Thorpe. I'm a PHP backend developer. I primarily work with Laravel. I think there's probably quite a few Laravel devs here that have moved into Vue.js. I can see hands going up there. And I like to make internet videos, but not the dodgy kind. So we'll keep it nice and sensible here. So the title of my talk, as James keeps taking the mick out of me, is My Addiction. And you're probably thinking, well, what has this got to do with Vue.js? Unfortunately, it has absolutely nothing to do with Vue.js, which is why I do have only 10 minutes with you. So, but this is a topic that I feel is really, really important, and I'm quite passionate about it, and hopefully it will pique some of your interest as well. So, tell me if this sounds a little bit familiar. You've had a really, really tiring day at work. I don't know, maybe you've been non-stop in meetings. I know for a fact some of you here deal with some really tricky clients, and we all know clients can be a little bit of a pain in the arse. But I don't know, maybe you've been like head deep in some new code, or you're learning something new, and you're just absolutely knackered. And you finally get home after dealing with a central line. And if any of you have to deal with a central line, I do not know how you do it. I had to deal with it once to get here, and I just wanted to get out and walk. It was an absolute nightmare. But anyway, you get home from that, and your head's buzzing. And you say to yourself, you know what, we've had a really, really hard day at work today. Let's make some dinner. I'm going to have a nice hot bath, and then I'm going to have an early night. Yeah, the mythical early. I don't know the last time I had an early night, and that's not because I've got 2 kids. But here's actually what really happens a lot of the time, is that you have had your nice hot bath, everything's going to plan so far, you've ticked all the boxes, it's looking really, really good. And you're getting your nice comfy Star Wars pajamas, and you're laying in bed, and you're ready to have that early night, you're excited about it. But then all of a sudden something starts ticking in your brain, you think, David, you haven't checked Twitter for the past 15 minutes. There might be some interesting posts that you're missing out on, and you couldn't possibly miss out on them. So you're like, yeah, that's right, I haven't checked Twitter. So you go and get the phone off the bedside cabinet. Maybe the charger cable doesn't reach, so you unplug that. You have a look. There's nothing new on there, but I was going to check Twitter, so maybe I'll head over to Instagram instead, see if there's anything new on there. There's just bikini-clad women on Instagram lately. That's why I closed my account. That's all there was. So then you head over to Snapchat, nothing new on there, and then Reddit, and all of a sudden it's 11:30 at night, and that early night is now out of the window, and it's gone, and you're not getting that back. And you don't know how many pages you've scrolled through. I'm sure you've all done this, where you lay in your bed, just one more page, just one more, and then I'll roll over and I'll go to bed. So, madness. I don't know why we do this. I actually genuinely think it's an addiction, and that's essentially the reason that I want to talk to you today, is because I'm not going to stand up here and try and be a Luddite and say smartphones are evil and bad. I do think that they provide a genuine value for a lot of us in our lives, but I do feel like we need to reevaluate our relationship with them and how we use them. So this was me every single night, essentially. I was just, without realising it, constantly on the phone, just can't miss out on stuff. I've got to be up to date and current, and I'd have that kind of fear of missing out element. So here's the part where I show you some vaguely interesting stats to back up my dubious claims that these things are somewhat addictive. So a 2016 study done in the UK, actually, shows that people check their phones X amount of times a day. We got any takers? Just shout out. I know it's very un-British of me to ask for audience participation, but 60 higher. There's always one. 150 times a day, which is quite a lot, really, if you think about it. So all of them times that you get the phone out when you're on the tube station platform waiting for the train, you can't possibly be doing nothing, because you'd be a loser, of course. So you've got to have the phone out. You've got to have something to be doing, pretending that you're doing. You're not. The train comes, so you put it away, you get on the train. You've got to get it out again just because there's nothing else to do. So I'll quickly get the phone out and check I haven't got a message within the last 5 seconds. All of them little check-ins, they all add up 150 times a day, apparently. The next stat that blows my mind, which is pretty cool, is the phantom vibrate. Do any of you know what that is? Yeah, so we've all had that, yeah. It's where the phone goes off in your pocket, you're doing nothing related to programming nothing related to phones at all. The phone goes off and you're all excited. The dopamine starts pumping in your brain and you think, whoa, someone's liked one of my Twitter posts about my compost bins that arrived. So you get the phone out. There's no post there at all. And you start to do this mental gymnastics. I don't know if you've done it, but I do it quite a lot, where you're like, well, maybe someone liked my post about my compost bins, but by the time I got the phone out, they'd actually decided to unlike it, because no one in their right mind would like a post about compost bins, let's be honest. And by the time I've got it out, all of a sudden, Twitter's detected that the unlike has happened, it's removed it from the phone. But really, that's just your brain doing these mental gymnastics to hide itself from the fact that it's now sending push notifications straight into your leg. So like 90% of people feel these regularly. Clearly, when I asked the question, a lot of you have. This stat actually makes me laugh quite a bit. Over 80% of millennials admit to having checked their phone at least once whilst having sex. is Facebook really that good now? I don't know. It's been a while. But, you know, I don't know what this is. I think that part and parcel, this is to do with the way that application developers and social media companies are doing their absolute best to show investors and advertisers that their users have a high level of buzzword time engagement. I like all the little smoke, that's why I've done that effect. I thought it was quite cool. So engagement really is essentially to show people, you know, if you've got an app with a high user engagement, essentially you're one of the cool kids because your users keep coming back, even though the reason they're coming back might not actually be genuine value to them. So think about it, from a social media company's perspective, if we want to get this engagement level all the way up, the only thing that we've got to do is just make our app addictive. We don't have to actually provide any inherent value to things. We just make it addictive as possible. Keep coming back, keep using this app. And I don't know, psychologists would always kind of tell us that there's always been things to distract us. When books first come out, these were like, books, you can't be reading too many books. You'd be taken away from the here and now. And obviously we know that books in moderation, we don't read all day, we've got other things to do, but books in moderation are a very good thing. And I don't want to stand here and talk about smartphones as if they're a totally bad thing in front of a group of people who predominantly make their money from a very similar technology, which is obviously sort of a lot of front-end developers here. I just think that when we use our smartphones, we should use them with intention and with this knowledge in mind that a lot of the times that we use these apps, they are built to be addictive. And it's cool to play games, it's cool to play, I don't know, watch videos on YouTube, but just be careful that you don't get sucked into that trap of checking all those 25 other apps just to make sure you're up to date on all the current stuff. What did Jeremy Corbyn say on BBC News today? I don't know, let's have a quick look. So talking to social media companies, probably one of my favourite ones, and not because I use them, is Snapchat. So how many of you here regularly use Snapchat? Used to regularly use it. Okay, so there's not many people. So I don't use Snapchat, but I discovered something amazing about Snapchat. Apparently they've got this thing called Snapchat Streaks, right? So a Snapchat Streak works this way. So I get my phone out and I message my wife. I say, hey honey, do you fancy dinner? I don't know, maybe I'll cook a curry or a pizza. I get one Snapchat Streak, one. Now, as long as I message her again within a 24-hour period, that Snapchat Streak goes up to 2. Yeah, 2 Snapchat streaks. Now this Snapchat streak does nothing. There's no inherent value in it whatsoever, but there are groups of people out there that are heavily invested in keeping their Snapchat streaks up and running. In fact, they get emotionally anguished at the fact that they might lose a Snapchat streak, and to the point where there's actually very, very big, like, not newspaper, but like publications online that even write stories about it. Here's some of my favourite. My best friend dropped our Snapchat streak. Should I be mad? I don't know, should you? 7 stages of grief after losing a snap streak. Feelings of disappointment. What did I do to deserve this? Devastated Snapchatters talk about the heartbreak of losing a snap streak after hundreds of days. Poor, poor people. In fact, I tell you, my sister-in-law, she absolutely loves Snapchat. And before she broke up with her current boyfriend, she was with him for some time. And they used to have this Snapchat streak going. I think it was something like 150 days or something. They'd Snapchat each other all the time. Then they had their first major argument, but she wouldn't talk to him. He'd done something really bad. I don't know what it was, but really, really bad. But she still sent him a blank Snapchat every day so that she could keep that streak going. She wouldn't lose it. So it's mad. So just bear this in mind. And like I said, it's all about getting users engaged. Bang. And that's basically the reason that they do it. My social media addiction was at an all-time high about, I don't know, 3 months ago. And I didn't realise it was a problem because, personally, I think everyone does it. I think perhaps my addiction was a little bit higher than normal, but I didn't realise it until I've got a 3-year-old son. That's him there. He loves smartphones. Anyone got kids here? A few people. Yeah, if you've got kids, you know that they love these things. They're able to do what they want on them, and it's very, very easy when you're out and about to we'll just let him have that so that he can watch the cartoons. This is the fatal mistake that we made, but it's one that I'm glad that we made because it led to where I am now. So we used to go out and about, and kids hate shopping, if you know kids. I hate shopping, my wife loves it, so I have to do the husbandly thing and go along, and yes, honey, it looks lovely. And he'd get the right ump, so we'd give him his cartoons, we'd time box it, so he'd have like 20 minutes at a time, and he could watch Cars, Toy Story, whatever he wanted, and he'd love it. But after a while, he started to become addicted to it. Every time he got in the pram, it was mummy's phone, daddy's phone. And it was like, okay, go on then. It's very easy to do, just give him the phone and he'll get away with doing it. Now, the problem became when we started to actually take that phone away from him after this time period. Initially, it was fine, but you take the phone away and all of a sudden he turns into the devil child. He's that child in the shop. You think, burn it with fire, just anything, shut him up. He's doing my head in. And that, I can't blame him though, because he used to see mummy and daddy with their phones all the time. We'd be there, we'd be on them all the time. And he just thought, like, kids are sponges at this age. And they just think, that's what mummy and daddy are doing, I want to do that as well. And so it was really scary to see our addiction manifest in our son. But it was really good in a way, because it led us to just think, you know what, screw this, we're just going to get rid of the smartphone. So I am like a 90-year-old angry man up here, like, I hate the internet. I don't, but yeah, we got rid of the smartphones and now we're both rocking some dumb phones. My wife's pulling off a £40 Nokia really, really well. So as programmers, I feel that, especially I feel that progressive web apps are going to be a very big thing in the future. I feel like maybe native apps, I think they'll potentially still be there, but progressive web apps are going to be a very big thing. And being front-end developers in this room, you're going to be at the forefront of being able to shape and mould the decisions that are made within applications, maybe if you're dealing with a client or at work and whatnot. And I know for a fact there's a few back-end developers here as well, so you'll probably be in charge of all the things like sending push notifications, sending emails and whatnot. And you've got some really interesting decisions that you can make there with the applications. And one of the things that I think that we could do is adopt the way that Basecamp and Slack do things. So here's an example of what we do when we sign up to Basecamp. We've got this option, always on or work can wait. So we can choose this always on, 24/7, 365 days a year, no matter what. That's the lunatic option, if you ask me. The person that always wants to be connected and has got the real fear of missing out. That is not an option that I think is good for your mind and your mental health. But you've got this second one here, work can wait, and this is the one that I think is really, really cool, because between 9 and 5, you send me what you want, you send me to-dos, you send me discussions, I'll deal with it. I'm not a procrastinator. I am really bad procrastinator, actually. That's why this talk is a little shoddy. In fact, it was a last-minute job. But I think this is really good, because anything after, say, 5 p.m, it's not even going to hit your phone, it's not going to hit your device. Your brain is freed up to actually spend time on things that are of real value to you. Maybe that's family, maybe that's hobbies and activities. I don't know what it is, but it allows you the control over the phone. And this is the fatal problem that I think we've got at the minute, is that for too long we've allowed phones and apps to control us. How many times have you been in a conversation with someone, the phone goes off, sorry, got to get the phone out, that comes first. But you're talking to this person directly. I think that's not only incredibly rude, but worrying that this little device in our pocket can demand so much attention from us at any point of time. So I'm not going to stand up here and devise a utopian solution, but I feel like this is like a good stepping stone for us that we can at least, as developers, all take control of if we're able to make these sort of decisions. So I know for a fact that there's probably a few people in this audience that this talk resonates with, but there might be some of you that are thinking, I don't have a problem with these things. I enjoy it. I enjoy the phone, and I use it whenever I like, and it's good. This is a silly talk, right? And you know, I might agree with you, but do me one thing, do me one favour. So tomorrow morning when you wake up, look at the time. I don't know, maybe it's 6:30, 7 o'clock or something. The minute that you've got the urge to go and check what's happening on BBC News or your emails, look at the time again, because apparently within 15 minutes of waking up, 80% of people have to check their smartphones. So just imagine if when you went to do that, you couldn't actually get the phone, or there was no way you could get it or whatnot. I bet you there's that sort of pit of anxiety in your stomach, that panic that you feel. How many times have you tapped the thing when you've left your phone somewhere? It's like, oh, where's my phone? Oh my God. Like Bilbo Baggins from Lord of the Rings trying to find the ring when he loses it. Just do that for me and have a think about how that makes you feel and whether you feel that that's a good thing or a bad thing. And if you don't have that, then you're a stronger person than I was, and hats off to you. So if you don't really need things like Google Maps and Spotify and stuff on the go, I would super encourage you to get a dumb phone. It's been awesome. I don't have as much anxiety anymore. I don't feel the need to constantly check things and be totally up to date. I feel a little bit freer, which is nice. But now I know some of you probably aren't native from the UK, and so you've got family abroad, and things like data services and WhatsApp are very important to you to be able to communicate with family, and that's fine. I just recommend going through and looking at the applications that you really don't need and removing them from the phone, getting rid of that clutter. Push notifications as well, they are a bugger. They're the ones that get you, because they go off in your pocket for no reason with useless stuff. Disable all of them for anything but the essential stuff that you really need, because I feel that that will also free up your head a little bit more. So I can only kind of stand here and tell you that since getting rid of my smartphone, it's actually been like quite relaxing for me. I spend all my time programming on a computer. It's nice to not have to constantly worry about checking in on my phone as well. Even if I did get lost trying to find the venue today because I don't have Google Maps on my phone. That was an awkward one. But thank you very much for listening to me and bearing with me here. I know I'm a 29-year-old man standing up here, like I said, like a 90-year-old man being annoyed at technology. And if you want to chat afterwards about this, if this topic does interest you, I would love to chat. And I do understand the irony of this. If you want to chat online, there is my Twitter handle. So thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, Dave. Do you want to take questions or not?
I didn't think it was the sort of thing people would have questions for.
Well, we'll do one, okay?
What phone are you using now?
My wife had a little bit of a go at me for this because I got one of these. I don't know if you've seen these little punked things. Some Swedish phone that literally does nothing but calls and texts. Because I like the Nokias and some of them look really cool, but I'm a sucker for a nice design. And like the Nokia my wife's got, she's no different. She just likes it, does the job. But this is very, very simple and designerish now. It's punked, P-U-N-K-T, MP01, yeah. What's that?
Has it been a nice phone? You've been happy with it?
Oh, it's lovely, yeah. You know when it's reassuringly heavy? Yeah.
How long does it last?
5 days. If you turn Bluetooth off though, it goes up, so yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys.
Cool.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, round of applause.